the king.
So, you think you guys got a lot in common?
In some aspects, yeah, we do.
How are you guys different?
Both.
Terence Crawford isn't taking any risks when it comes to facing Canelo Alvarez. Instead of training solo, he's brought in the expertise of the first man to ever defeat Canelo in the ring. To tackle the weight difference, Crawford has decided to start his training camp early, allowing him to gain the necessary weight and adjust to it before their September showdown. He does plan on taking a brief break midway through the year. Ahead of the fight, Crawford welcomed Floyd Mayweather into his camp, and the two had a productive time together. As expected, Mayweather focused much of his work on Crawford's defense. They practiced the shoulder roll, worked on footwork, and incorporated more body feints into their training. When Mayweather fought Canelo Alvarez, the Mexican was just 23 years old, while Floyd was in his mid-30s. Despite the age difference, Mayweather's defense was flawless, making it nearly impossible for Canelo to land a punch over the course of 12 rounds. Mayweather has trained many top fighters over the years, with notable names like Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Gervonta Davis benefiting from his vast boxing expertise. His latest trainee is Terence Crawford, who shared his thoughts with fans about his time spent training with Floyd. You might wonder why Terence Crawford, a seasoned professional with 40 fights under his belt, is seeking Mayweather's guidance so close to retirement. The answer is simple: Crawford's next fight will be his debut at 168 pounds. As a result, Crawford reached out to Floyd Mayweather, a 5-weight class world champion, for some valuable lessons. In a recent interview, Mayweather reminisced about his iconic fight against Canelo Alvarez in that same weight class.
That's gave the sport of boxing their whole life and sacrificed a lot inside that square circle. They should feel that way. So if he feels that way, more power to him. I had one fight, and the fight wasn't actually at it.
I had one fight at a catch weight, but it wasn't my idea. Anyone can look it up online, it's in an article. At the time, I think Canelo thought I was scared of him, that I was afraid to fight. He said, "Floyd doesn't want to fight me, I'm willing to meet him at 152 or 152 and a half." I called his bluff and said, "If you want to do it, let's do it at 152 or 152 and a half." But after Canelo made the weight, there wasn't a clause that said he couldn't gain weight. He weighed in at 152 or 152 and a half, but when it came to the fight, he came in around 168 or close to 170, while I weighed 151 or 152.
It was at a catch weight, but it wasn't my idea. So at one particular time, you guys can, anybody, you can go online and pull this up. It was an article. So with Canelo said, I believe Canelo at one particular time thought I was scared of him,
Perhaps Terence Crawford saw this as a valuable opportunity, considering how much he still had to learn about the new weight class he'll be entering in less than a month. Despite boxing fans often drawing comparisons between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Terence Crawford, Bud didn't shy away from giving Mayweather the recognition he deserves. Crawford truly appreciates Floyd's accomplishments and, when asked about their similarities, he had plenty of respect to share. "He's the king," Crawford praised, acknowledging Floyd's greatness in the sport.
Hit, not get hit, to make the adjustments that he's made to certain fighters.
He then continued, "We have a lot in common in some ways, but we're also different because I take more risks." Early in his career, Floyd took a lot of risks too. It just depends on which version of Floyd you're talking about. Are you referring to Money or Pretty Boy? Because Pretty Boy was all about seeking and destroying, but then he started dealing with hand injuries, which limited his power, especially as he moved up in weight and faced bigger opponents.
Both boxing, I think, I take more chances, right now. But earlier in his career, he was taking a lot of chances as well. So,
As Crawford mentioned, they share a lot of similarities, but boxing fans and analysts have compared the two to determine who would come out on top. In one such analysis, a news outlet favored Crawford as the likely winner in a potential matchup. However, when it comes to pure boxing skill, it's hard to find anyone who can match Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s ability to deliver a masterclass in the sweet science.
It depends on which Floyd Mayweather you talk about. You talk about money, or do you talk about Pretty Boy? Because Pretty Boy was the seek and destroy.
Mayweather's crisp jab, precise timing, and counter-punching skills allowed him to dismantle a long list of opponents, and he achieved this success across two distinct phases of his career.
And a reach from the left hooks again. And the lightning hand speed extraordinary. Left hook drops him. And then he hit his head off the unmatched here at the engine.
As Crawford pointed out, Pretty Boy Floyd was the more aggressive fighter, taking the fight to his opponents, while Money Mayweather later in his career would outsmart and outbox them with brilliant technique. Regardless of which style you prefer, both versions of Mayweather contributed to his legendary status. Similarly, boxing fans are still in awe of what Crawford accomplished against Spence in his last fight.
He drops him again. That's a hard knockdown that time.
Whether it was his powerful jab slicing through Spence's guard in tight exchanges or his impeccable counterpunching timing, Crawford showcased extraordinary boxing skills we've seen before, but never at this level against a fighter like Spence. When it comes to pure boxing ability, it's hard to argue that anyone should get the edge over Mayweather. However, Crawford's style is distinct, yet highly effective, even explosive in its own right. So how would their boxing styles compare if Crawford were to face Mayweather in his prime? Who would establish the jab first? Who would land the more effective counters? With so many potential outcomes, it's tough to pick a clear winner, making it perhaps best to call this category a draw. How many times have we seen Mayweather lure his opponents to the center of the ring, where he would gather information, analyze it, and craft a strategy to dismantle them? Mayweather's ring IQ, paired with his philosophy of hit and not get hit, guided him to an undefeated career and 5 world titles across different weight classes, earning him a place in the Hall of Fame. Crawford, crowned undisputed champion at both junior welterweight and welterweight, has demonstrated a similarly high ring IQ throughout his career. While Mayweather's hand speed, particularly in counterpunching, was a standout feature, Crawford's sharp angles and explosive delivery give him the edge in speed. Of Mayweather's 50 victories, 27 came by knockout, compared to Crawford's 40 wins, with 31 by knockout, and he's still active. Now, let's revisit Crawford's brilliance against Spence, as he dropped him 3 times on his way to a dominant 9th-round TKO. Defeating a power-punching, body-snatching fighter like Spence, who had systematically broken down Kell Brook, Sean Porter, and Yadenis Ugas to become the unified world welterweight champion, was no easy task. Yet, Crawford made it look effortless, with his power playing a major role in that. Mayweather, on the other hand, would often position himself in the corner, raising his shoulder into the Philly shell, absorbing shots with his arm while using his free hand to land precise counters. It was defensive boxing turned counterpunching at its finest.
Look at this Spence, unbelievable. The young boxing fans that are watching Floyd Mayweather, you're seeing one of the greatest defensive fighter of all time. I mean, that's how strong.
You're and then he's nowhere. You think you
And again, it's not just hand quickness.
Crawford certainly has slick defensive skills of his own, but Mayweather elevated defensive boxing to near perfection, a level that seemed almost impossible to reach. So, how would a fight between Crawford and a prime Mayweather play out, and who would win? After a tense first round where both fighters are feeling each other out, we'd likely see Crawford as the more active and aggressive fighter early on, launching in landing shots, even if many of them are absorbed by Mayweather's shoulder and elbow. By the middle rounds, Mayweather's style would begin to take over, as he'd pepper Crawford with jabs and start to bank some rounds.
Movement of the head, the way he rolls with punches. Look at the way he makes them miss. I mean, here we go. Through a series of punches and nothing really landed. Terrific fighter. Well, Mayweather. Oh!
Despite the constant pressure from Crawford, his firepower might be enough to get to Mayweather, possibly even hurting the legend at times. As close as this matchup would be, Crawford's fighting style and those whiplashing punches could give him an edge, earning the judges credit for his pressure and volume on his way to a points victory over Mayweather's defensive style. Shifting away from the comparison, moving up in weight is no easy task, and Crawford is keen to avoid the mistakes Canelo Alvarez made when he faced Dimitri Bivol. Canelo's lofty ambitions caught up with him after he met his match in Bivol, the unbeaten WBA light heavyweight champion. Despite being a 4-division champion, Canelo landed a career-low 84 punches over 12 rounds as Bivol relied on his defense and sharp counters to secure a unanimous decision victory. All three judges scored it 115-113 for Bivol, and CBS Sports scored it 119-109, showing how dominant Bivol was in the fight. 6 months after becoming the first undisputed super middleweight champion of the four-belt era, Alvarez moved back up to 175 pounds for the first time since claiming the WBC title with a knockout of Sergey Kovalev in 2019. During the same week, he hinted at a potential future move to heavyweight. However, Alvarez struggled to break through the technical strength of Dimitri Bivol, a former Russian amateur standout known for neutralizing his opponent's offense. Bivol's jab was precise throughout the fight, and he consistently responded to any single punch Alvarez landed with clean combinations of his own. Bivol allowed Alvarez to stay in close range but never provided a clear strike zone for him to exploit. Most of the damage Alvarez managed to land was to Bivol's left shoulder and arm, as the Russian kept a strong defense behind his high guard. Alvarez, whose only previous defeat came against Floyd Mayweather in 2013, landed just 17% of his punches against Bivol, with the margin being 152-84 according to CompuBox. After the fight, Alvarez expressed that he believed he was ahead on the scorecards heading into the final rounds. "He's a great champion. Sometimes in boxing, you win or lose. I lost today, and he won," Alvarez said. "He's a really good fighter who comes in and goes out. I also felt his power. It was a good victory for him." To avoid similar setbacks, Crawford has sought Mayweather's guidance. As for Floyd Mayweather, his record as both a fighter and trainer is legendary, with his most recent trainee shocking the world with a big win earlier this year. In a detailed interview with Patrick Bet-David on his podcast, Garcia, the junior welterweight contender from Victorville, California, discussed his well-known friendship with Money Mayweather. He emphasized that he holds the Hall of Fame fighter in higher regard than most, even among those in his inner circle. When Bet-David asked Garcia who in his life had the authority to offer him blunt, unfiltered criticism, Garcia quickly named Mayweather. Bivol was later asked for his thoughts on the widely speculated matchup between the incredibly skilled Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, who is considered one of the top fighters in the sport today.
Wanting to fight Canelo 3 divisions up. Good idea, bad idea?
I don't remember sizes of Terence Crawford.
Welterweight.
If he big, actually.
Maybe he's probably...
I remember when I first entered the boxing gym, one of the first lessons I learned was to respect the weight classes. But Terence is one of my favorite active fighters. He has excellent skills, really great skills. Maybe he could show us something. He already knows what to do, and his coach knows too. They will figure out how to do it, Bivol said. When asked directly if he thought Crawford could beat Canelo, Bivol replied, "I can imagine it." This shows how much Bivol respects Crawford's abilities, even when facing a naturally larger opponent. Bivol also noted that Crawford's ring IQ could give him an edge over Canelo. "I can tell you that Crawford is one of the best fighters in the world right now. I see him with more boxing IQ."
Came to the boxing gym, one of the first lessons which I should learn, it's like, you should respect weight classes. You know, yeah, what it means. But Terence Crawford now is one of the favorite.
Hall of Famer and ESPN boxing analyst Timothy Bradley Jr. is backing Terence Crawford in a potential showdown with Saul Canelo Alvarez. Bradley voiced his support on his YouTube channel, addressing the talk surrounding the weight difference. "Everyone keeps talking about the weight," Bradley said. While Crawford just moved up from welterweight to 154 pounds, Alvarez has been competing at 168 pounds since late 2020. Bradley questioned the notion of Canelo knocking Crawford out, asking, "When was the last time Canelo knocked someone out?" Alvarez's most recent stoppage victory was against Caleb Plant in November 2021.
I don't know, someone told me to study Canelo, study Crawford. Crawford about to beat the shit out of Canelo Alvarez. I'm letting y'all know right now, he about to beat the brakes off of Canelo Alvarez.
Since then, Canelo Alvarez has struggled to secure a knockout against established opponents, such as Dmitry Bivol and a loss in 40-year-old Gennady Golovkin. He's also gone the distance with fighters considered to be far below his skill level, including John Ryder, Jamie Munguia, and Edgar Berlanga. Jermall Charlo, a natural junior middleweight, also went the distance with Canelo, though he was never competitive with the super middleweight king. "Y'all can quit with the 'he's going to knock Crawford out' talk," Bradley said. "Come on, man. Didn't we just see someone like Alexander Usyk fight Tyson Fury, who was 50 pounds heavier? Canelo's the same height as Crawford, he's not a natural 168-pounder. Usyk is a great fighter, absolutely, but so is Crawford. The great ones know how to figure it out."
Yes, he is. Number 2, Devin Haney. You want to get back, man, go back to your roots, bro. Go back to where you started, bro.
Bradley pointed out that Crawford has a 74-inch reach, 3.5 inches longer than Canelo's, and his ability to neutralize opponents' offense with counterpunching. Since Alvarez is already a fighter with a relatively low output, Bradley believes Crawford can win by staying at a distance, using straight punches in between Canelo's looping hooks, and wearing him down in the later rounds. "Don't go running away from the fight now, Canelo," Bradley said, referring to the unified super middleweight champion's avoidance of David Benavidez. Imitating Canelo's higher-pitched voice, Bradley added, "Remember what you said, easy fight, easy fight, easy fight." While many analysts in boxing share Bradley's views, most in the fight game believe that Crawford's size and power may not be enough to overcome the difference in strength and weight.
Where'd you start? You started in Mexico, man. Go back, get one of those guys out of there, man. Go back, start there. That's where you start. Go back to your roots, bro. Get some of that humble pie, bro. Go back, start where you started. Start where you started.
Bradley, known for his bold opinions, stands firm in his unpopular stance. "I'm going to get back to my Haterade," he joked at the end of the video while sipping his drink. You already know. Whether the boxing world will see a Canelo-Crawford matchup is likely to depend on Alvarez. Crawford, who became the undisputed welterweight champion in July 2023 after stopping Errol Spence Jr. in 9 rounds, made even more history earlier this year by becoming a 4-division champion. He outpointed Israel Madrimov to capture the WBA title at 154 pounds. Meanwhile, Mexican icon Canelo has continued to find success in recent years.
Just with Canelo, obviously he had his fight with Edgar Berlanga announced recently. Not received necessarily the positive outcome and reaction he'd have liked. What did you make of it?
After claiming the undisputed super middleweight title in 2021, Canelo fell short in his challenge against then WBA light heavyweight champion Dmitry Bivol. However, the 34-year-old has since bounced back with 5 consecutive wins, defeating notable opponents like Gennady Golovkin, Jermall Charlo, and Edgar Berlanga. Legendary trainer and analyst Teddy Atlas recently shared his thoughts with Fight Hub TV about a potential megafight between Canelo and Crawford. Atlas expressed his difficulty in betting against the American southpaw, saying, "Very few people have the appetite or inclination to challenge themselves, Mr. Crawford does. I ain't never going against that guy. Father Time might catch him, but I don't know if a weight class can catch him."
Own it now. Listen, I think Berlanga's a talented kid who's getting better. He's improved recently. I think he still needs more seasoning, but I see an improvement in him. He is a talented kid.
It's a massive challenge because Canelo is an incredible fighter, bigger, stronger, and capable of landing powerful punches with great timing. However, just because Crawford is smaller, he'll come up with a game plan that forces his opponent to use his size. Speaking to Fight Hub TV, McIntyre gave high praise to the undefeated Crawford, who is rumored to face Canelo in either May or September. Crawford has all the tools to win a third undisputed title, McIntyre said. Any hardcore boxing fan knows Crawford can beat Canelo. You have to really understand boxing to say that. If the Canelo vs Crawford fight happens on either May 3rd or 10th, 2 dates close to Cinco de Mayo, a major boxing weekend, it could become a reality, though Canelo might wait to see what happens in the February 22nd light heavyweight showdown between Artur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol. Beterbiev defeated Bivol in their first fight last year.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more exciting videos, make sure to hit the bell icon and stay updated. Subscribe to Boxing Hub now for all the latest in boxing.